What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about the newest film from director Kogonada, and I was actually really excited to watch this movie because Kogonada has made two films in his career thus far, Columbus and After Yang. I have not seen Columbus. I know there have been a ton of people that have told me to watch it. I haven't gotten around to it, but I genuinely loved After Yang. I thought that its approach to filmmaking, whether that be stylistically, aesthetically, the editing decisions, just really incredible and immersive. And I really love the story about artificial intelligence. And I thought that the way that they kind of covered certain aspects in relation to what the robot was doing for the family and things culturally, there were just so many fascinating ideas that film explored. And I'm sure Columbus is equally as great. And so this was the third film that he has worked on. And when I saw the trailer, it seemed to stylistically and visually kind of replicate what I know from him as a director thus far, but tonally it felt a little bit different. But this stars Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie, who I think are two incredibly talented actors. So I was really looking forward to watching this. And the film I'm going to be telling you about today is A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey is directed by Kogonada. Sarah and David are single strangers who meet at a mutual friend's wedding and soon, through a surprising twist of fate, find themselves on a funny, fantastical, sweeping adventure together where they get to relive important moments from their respective pasts, illuminating how they got to where they are in the present and possibly getting a chance to alter their futures. So I was really excited to watch this movie. Like I said, Kogonada is incredibly talented, and I was hoping that this would align with After Yang, especially with how much I enjoyed that. And this is unfortunately a Celine Song materialist situation where you have an incredibly talented director who somehow delivers you the most horrible piece of garbage that you could possibly imagine. This film is just a complete and utter waste of time. This is a movie that clearly has an interesting idea, but has no idea as to how to achieve it. And it does it in the laziest, most bland way possible. And I don't think I've watched a movie in quite some time with two incredibly talented actors that have zero chemistry. These people on screen, it's just devoid of anything. It's so hard to root for them because they're just both so bland and uninteresting. I'll talk about it a little bit more with you when I break the movie down. So at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to David, played by Colin Farrell, and he gets this rental car. There's this really strange set of circumstances surrounding him acquiring the rental car, which I really liked that scene, honestly, because it made you realize that the film was going to dive into fantastical realism and that it was going to show some absurd things. And I appreciated that. I felt like it was going to sort of guide you in a direction to really kind of immerse yourself into this fantastical world. And he is driving to go to a friend's wedding. And when he gets to the friend's wedding, he meets Sarah, played by Margot Robbie. And the two of them start having a conversation, and they really seem to hit it off really well. And he gets back in his car and he turns the GPS on in his car, and the GPS says, "Do you want to go on a big, bold, beautiful journey?" And he says, "Absolutely. I have nothing else to lose." It tells him to drive and order a fast food sandwich. So he goes to Burger King, and Sarah is sitting in the Burger King, like 5 tables away from her. She eventually comes and sits with him. The two of them have another really great conversation, very open, honest, vulnerable. And the two of them go to get in their cars to go on their separate ways. But the GPS tells David to ask Sarah to get into his car. And he says, "Do you want to go on this trip with me?" And she says, "Sure." And so they drive together. They end up finding this door in the middle of the woods, and it ends up taking them two different moments in their lives. And they're essentially on this journey together, revisiting elements of their past, trying to discover who they are as people and how they could change things about themselves in order to possibly create a future for themselves. So like I said, this movie was a giant waste of time and an enormous disappointment. But if I'm going to give it any positives, visually, the movie is stunning. I feel like there's a lot of really great editing scenes. I feel like the way that Kogonada utilizes visuals creates a very fantastical world. And it was one of the few things that I actually appreciated, was that there was not quality sacrificed in the visual presentation, even though the quality of the actual film itself was so lackluster. And that really is the highest point for me. Obviously, Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie are two incredibly talented actors, and they deliver the best performances that they possibly can in this movie, especially when they have to give these monologues where they're very much diving into these very personal elements of themselves. And I can appreciate that, but there's nothing else to this movie at all. My first issue is, how do these characters have zero chemistry? They're really, anytime they were flirting with each other or trying to act like, there was some kind of potential or spark between the two of them, you just feel nothing. It is completely devoid of any authentic emotions. Just like I saw somebody on Letterboxd say, what do they have in common? They both like to eat Burger King. And as funny as that is, like, it's the truth. This movie, they don't do a really good job establishing these characters as individual people, which leads me to the second problem of the movie. You're kind of just thrown into this mess, and it has horrible structure. And I feel like it doesn't really do a great job establishing these two characters early on, so that when you're thrust into this world, it just kind of feels like a collection of scenes happening. It's so difficult to grab a hold on to anything going on and have it resonate with you in an intense emotional way. And most of the conversations around like the issues they have in their life, they're so surface level or like hallmarky, where the emotion just doesn't feel realistic or authentic, which is so surprising considering like the guttural, very visceral emotions in After Yang, and how that movie like genuinely moved me emotionally. And then I watch something like this and it's so incredibly stale. Like, just at any of the like hard hitting emotional moments with these characters just felt so completely devoid of anything special. And I just found myself really kind of pulling out of the movie multiple times. I just did not care what was going on in this whatsoever. It was like an hour and 40 minutes long, and by like the 45 or 50-minute mark, I'm like, can this thing just end? I simply don't care what happens to these people whatsoever. And there is some super cringeworthy dialogue in this movie that I was just like, who wrote this thing? Like, and I think what I saw, Kogonada was using someone else's material. I don't think he wrote the screenplay to this movie, and it's based on someone else's work. And I think he needs to stick with making material that is his own. I think he needs to avoid utilizing other people's material, because this is just a hot, steaming pile of garbage. Like, I can't even tell you to get into this movie for the performances, because all of the emotion is so hokey and inauthentic. And that's really, to me, when I'm watching a movie from a director who has such incredible potential to create something so visceral and moving, like, this is just such a nothing burger. Like I said, it really felt like a Hallmark original movie, or something that's just like trying to go for the sappiest emotion possible. But the problem is, you don't care about these characters in any way, shape, or form, so none of that emotion is going to land for you whatsoever either. There's some good music in the movie. That's about the one thing that I can say for it, is that the music is nice. And then obviously, like I said, visually, the film looks really great. But I would skip over this if at all possible, because it's just really not that good of a movie. Have you seen A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was genuinely terrible, and I'm very upset by that, because I think Kogonada is an incredibly talented director, but this was just terrible in every conceivable way. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.